so much gloom hiding the reality. It's just a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just it's a beautiful day. Yeah, it's a beautiful day. It's just yeah. Take a look into the sky. Take a look into the sky.
Look in the sky.
Keep your head up high.
High. Keep your head high.
Take a look into the sky.
Pretty picture outside as we settle in on this Friday afternoon here at Gulfstream Park. Ron Nicoletti, Jason Blewett, good to have you along for the ride on this Friday afternoon. September 21st, our never-ending summer, Ronnie, down here. But technically, this is the final day of summer.
You mean tomorrow's fall?
Tomorrow is fall. It won't feel like fall most likely around these parts, but it is Florida, and we love it as such.
Well, it might go down a little bit in temperature from 92 to 91, being it's the first day of fall. It's the part of the year where you know you want to see that weather change, but it doesn't happen till October. But hey, we got clear skies, fast track, firm turf. What's better than that?
Yeah, a lot of turf on the card today. Races 5 and 8 are exceptionally, I think, very deep races on the turf. Yeah, we'll be talking about the races over the next half hour and some ground to cover, to say the least, some furlongs to cover on this live edition of Gulfstream today. That includes a couple of carryovers, beginning with nearly $4,000 in that opening high five. And speaking of the turf, we do begin with some 20K maiden claimers on the grass, and that, of course, is the opening leg of Friday's early pick 5. Just a 15% takeout, and slowly but surely, we are starting to rebuild in the rainbow.
Yeah, we're about just about a little under $27,000, but they've been betting like 50, 60, 70,000 a day into it. So we'll see how it plays out. You can have it for just 20 cents, and then Jason will have his final pick 5 ticket, and as he mentioned, only a 15% takeout, and it's a great bet for only 50 cents.
And for me, so close yesterday, that old horseshoes and hand grenades. Being close only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. I had 5 of 5 going into the last leg. You were off, so I took the rainbow. Pete did the pick 5s and had a nice 3-horse spread, and the old 2nd, 3rd, and 5th there in the nightcap. Oh, so close.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah. Yep, I got a little taste of what it feels like, just nearly grabbing the brass ring there. But with Thursday behind us, we'll obviously try to get lucky, have a little fun, and hopefully come up with some winners over the next 30 minutes or so. And let's begin, in fact, with that opening early pick 5 on the afternoon. $24 worth of spreading. No singles for me in the first 5 races. I didn't know where else to go outside of the 2 favorites in the first race. I know Ronnie and I had a peek thinking maybe I missed somebody in that race, but you're 6-7 all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6-7 all the way. I'm going to try and beat the 7 a little bit, but I think you got to have both of those on your ticket.
A couple of 2-year-olds knocking heads in a big rematch, and we're talking about 2 very high-powered barns in Ralph Nix and Victor Barboza Jr. Once again, Ronnie has the 3 and 4, 1 and 2 in race number 2. I like the 3rd race quite a bit. That is just a solid, salty, honest crew of turf sprinters.
Yeah, and I found that a little tough in there. I went with the number 4 horse in there, but there's a couple of different ways you can go in that race. So that's where if you like a single in the first 2 legs, maybe you spread a little bit more in race number 3.
And sound the alarm, Gilberto Zerpa, a new claim coming our way in race number 4. 2 outside mares are where I went, and Queen Roller, who Ronnie has on top, is the fresh Zerpa claim. He continues to win at just an otherworldly percentage, which has been unbelievable to watch on the sidelines. And then Full Circle in race number 5. I might be a little light. That's a good little race. There's a lot going on, and I'm Fast Eddie E, the 2, and the number 8, 2 Stormy. I see you like a horse going out for Tammy Levy. Yeah,
Rumbago, 8-1 in the morning line. That's my long shot today. Got to pray that horse doesn't get cooked in a duel, but I like the first off the claim with Tammy, so I'm trying to get a bit of a price.
Sounds good. I was hoping the 13 Famous Fact would draw in, but that horse obviously just buried out there on the also eligible list, so that is a moot point. Now, we do begin again in a race that ultimately, as we set sail on this September 21st with our opening turf race, a $20,000 to $16,000 maiden claimer. We've got 2 two legit horses to beat in the 6 Spring Joy and the 7 Manhattan Project.
Yeah, and I went with Spring Joy over Manhattan Project, and early in the wagering that I knew the 7 with Manhattan Project would be favored. But Spring Joy stretching out to a mile after returning from a couple of month layoff to finish. I thought a really well-meant second. Again, similar, that was going 7.5. Michelle Nahe has Edgard Zayas in the saddle today. And you can understand why Manhattan Project has taken all the money.
Yeah, beating just a tough nose in a very similar spot. However, that race last time out was back on April 12th.
Yeah, I'm going to show you a stat on trainer Carlo Valcarez, a layoff of 61 to 180 days, 3-year-olds and up on the turf. He's only 3 for 21, 14%, 29% in the money, and a $1.10 return of investment over the last 5 years. And that's trying to beat him, but I think it's a logical choice to be on the ticket. And we were talking in the office, I guess Carlo's going for his 100th victory today or something.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, I think he's got 99, so we'll see if he gets it this afternoon.
All right, Carlo, super live here in race number 1, and this will be the only horse, Manhattan Project, that he has running on this Friday afternoon here at Gulfstream. Here's the second on the day. We head to the main track. We are left with a field of 5 in this 2-year-old filly, $16,000 claimer that in the end, much like the first, might be a little tough, I think, looking at this race realistically, a little tough to go beyond a couple of horses who have experience racing against one another in Bargainaire and Always Venezuela. And in fact, they met some 61 days ago on July 22nd. We'll show you the race. There's not much to see here other than Bargainaire getting the money and getting the money fairly convincingly against Always Venezuela. But in the case of Always Venezuela, the one thing, or at least trait, Ronnie, today that gives me hope she can turn the tables is this was her career debut, whereas Bargainaire had the benefit of being a second-time starter in this effort that was a dominating victory.
Yeah, and Always Venezuela came back to break its maiden pretty nicely in its next start. So these two are the logical two. I also had the number 6, Mary Lee and Me, on my ticket, but that one was scratched. Want to show you a stat on Mr. Ralph Nix with his 2-year-old maiden winner last time out. All levels on the dirt. He's 5 for 26. He's 19%. He's in the money 54% of the time, and $1.20 is return of investment. I think those are the logical two. With the scratch of the 6, I moved up the 1, Jersey Rose.
Yeah, who didn't run all that fast per se first time out, but was professional nonetheless, and we'll see how she does. A filly by Mucho Macho Man. I saw Mucho Macho had a good-looking 2-year-old win at Los Al yesterday for trainer Bob Baffert. They paid around $700,000 for that horse. Yeah, it was the high 6s. That horse obviously looking pretty solid in an undercard race yesterday out at Los Alamitos.
Oh, in Bob Baffert's barn, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
needs another good horse, and I think he's batting like upwards of 60% at the current meet. I mean, it's just ridiculous. He obviously controls racing out there in Southern California. However, we don't really have a trainer per se that dominates in that sort of a super trainer category this time of year, and you get a sense of that in this upcoming third because there's no real clear favorite in Friday's third race. A pretty salty crew, as I was saying with my early pick 5, in this 5-furlong turf sprint claimer, 3 and up, and again the claiming tags $10,000 across the board. Now trainer Mickey Kroger's got a couple of veterans in the mix, including Pioneer Pete, the 2, and a horse that I've kind of grown pretty fond of, the 9-year-old, the Elder Statesman in Texas Rustler. I loved this horse last time he ran, and I thought Carlos Montalvo, and we'll bring you the race back on August the 9th, rode this son, put it back perfectly, had him prompting the speed in that first over tracking trip. He'll put everybody away, but man, I'm always amazed at certain times when you need a horse, Ronnie, at how long and how almost an eternity feeling this 1,200-plus feet during the home stretch at Gulfstream can feel. I'm watching Texas Rustler. He takes the lead. Here they come. And you know what? They'll hit the wire, and he loses by about a half length there. Greeley is back, who, if my memory's correct, was Dennis Ward's 1,000th career winner.
Well, Texas Rustler is really a consistent gelding, but he's looking for his first victory since 2016. That's 14 races. He certainly belongs on the ticket. I wasn't sold on the top spot, but I did go with the number 4 in here, Deneb, and I'll tell you why. A 3-time winner this year, which includes the that $10,000 claiming score at the distance. Figures promise the rest of this field this year is 2 for 55. So we're just off that, a 3-time winner this year. Elizabeth Dobles, Tyler Gaffleone in the irons this afternoon. West of Eden, Texas Rustler. Can't tell you how many times I picked that horse, too, and it's just been burning me. But on the ticket, and that's why I went with Deneb, just a little arithmetic looked like this one might be the logical one.
Yeah, I think this horse will ultimately be the favorite with Tyler, who is wrapping up, a few more weeks riding here in southern Florida before he packs up shop and spends a good chunk of the autumn racing season competing at Keeneland. Best of luck to Tyler. And he's picked up the mount on Mind Your Biscuits at
Yeah, I
Churchill.
saw that yesterday. That's really going to be fun for him to ride Mind Your Business. What a great horse that is. That's one of my favorite horses. He's a hard-knocking campaigner.
Yeah, definitely. I think in many respects he shares a number of similarities to Paney Price. Different horse altogether, different stage, and different things at stake. But, man, Pete and I were talking about Paney Price on this show yesterday. He was great here Sunday.
Yeah, he was just fantastic. And Paney Price, he was, he cut 130 pounds, looked like he was going to get beat, and he found that other gear and just pulled away. And very excited about that horse maybe getting to the Breeders' Cup. But Mind Your Biscuit, how tough is this horse? Goes to Dubai, wins, just an incredible horse.
Incredible horse, much like this man next to me, an incredible handicapper. And in fact, Ronnie's Rainbow coming up. A little reminder, though, we're 7 days out from the Stronach 5. More in just a second.
Hey everybody, super excited to tell you about a brand new national Pick 5 wager that kicks off on Friday, September 28th. It's the Stronach 5 and it features an industry low takeout of 12%. You want action? The Stronach 5 is all about action. We're talking 5 races in less than an hour. Laurel, Golden Gate Fields, Gulfstream Park, and Santa Anita. That's the Stronach 5, a 12% takeout, $1 minimum, and it sets sail Friday, September 28th.
Yeah, just a week out from that Friday, September 28th, unveiling of the Stronach 5. 5 races, Ronnie, 4 tracks. We're talking about 50 minutes between leg 1 and the cash out. It's a lot of action, right?
A lot of action. What I like the best is the 12% takeout. So you get that one bet only taking out 12% once in 5 races.
Yeah.
So that's the great part about that bet. And we check out Santa Anita. I'm going to single Baffert there. And I got it all figured out.
All right, sounds good. A Baffert, all, and maybe a Pletcher horse here at Gulfstream you can single on the back end. And I'm wondering, as far as today's Rainbow Six, what about 30,000 in the carryover kitty? Do you have any singles to be had?
I do have a single, and it comes in race number 8 this afternoon, and that is the number 3, Darwish in there. And almost thought a single in the 2-horse in race number 6, and that's Grand Nene. But I didn't there, and I'm starting off, as I mentioned, with 3 horses in here. Race 5, I mentioned my long shot a little while ago, Rumbogo. Needs to stay out of a duel to run well. Really like Darwish this afternoon from the Gilberto Zerba barn. Was on a 2-race win streak, and then ran into a repeat winner called Field Trip. And that was my single there. I kept it at 32.40, dealing with that just about $27,000 carryover.
Sounds good, and Darwish may ultimately control the pace there. Not a layup, and I singled that horse too because of the connections and the early speed of my late pick 5 that you'll see in just a couple of minutes. But he's got a couple of horses, rivals today, rematching off a pretty good last out effort over a very sloppy track. I know Acacia's a pretty big fan today of Juan and Bina. She was talking about that horse a couple of days ago, really improving for trainer Jose Garofalo. But anyway, race number 4 does start this Rainbow Six sequence on this Friday, September 21st. We're left with the field of 6. 3 key competitors in this race, horses, if you will. Competitive player for Peter Walder, Steve Dwoskin's Working Carol K, and then we have Gilberto Zerpa on the outside with Queen Roller off the claim as she goes up in class.
Yeah, moves to his barn after the claim, cuts back to 6 furlongs today. Going to add blinkers this afternoon, first race since finishing 3rd. That was in front of a pair of next out winners. It was an open claimer contested at a mile. Gilberto Zerpa, 422% with first off the claim, whatever it is. He's got his go-to jock, Emissy Al Jaramillo, in the saddle. But there's this race. Why I went 3 deep. It's pretty wide open. We got the logical 4, I think. Well, at least the logical 3 up there.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's the trio we have first through 3rd that's going to decide this and likely sweep the try between Queen Roller, Working Carol K, who's got some talent and seems very live today for 10K. She's more of a one-run plotter, though, and that's the one potential negative I have with Working Carol K. She needs a lot to go her way, and competitive player has few knocks.
Yeah, this one is an 8-time local winner and 7 victories at this distance. You're getting Peter Walder, Tyler Gaffalione. This is certainly a horse for course type. If this one jumps up and win, I would not be shocked at all. But it's hard not to have that Gilberto Zerpa angle on your side.
Yep, absolutely. 7 for his last 13 running off the claim, and again, above 40% on the year. Let's move on to race number 5, late pick 5. Just a 9-race card on this Friday, September 21st. So short and sweet today, maybe a little bit of less is more, which is never a bad thing. And that late pick 5 sequence does begin in earnest with a good-looking turf race. This, I don't think, is my favorite race of the day. I think I got to give that title to the Crew in the 7. But this is a very good Florida-bred turf allowance.
Yeah, and it's a very wide open affair, and I'm curious to see. Well, you use three horses on your ticket. I think you got the logical. I think the logical horse in there is the 8, Too Stormy, because there's a lot of speed, and I just see, you know, that's probably going to set up for a horse like that.
You like Victor B in race number 6 as he sends out 2 horses?
Yeah,
Barboza?
Yeah, my grand name looks
1-2.
like. Yeah,
1-2.
I couldn't. You know, Shackelford Storm ran just like 5 days ago.
Yeah, wheeling back on a very short notice. 7th race is the race of the day and the best race on the card, in my humble estimation, between Kickin' Boy, who really ran well for Chuck Simon off the claim, going 12 furlongs in the Coping Away, and he'll run against some salty veterans on the outside, and Who's Your Drama, the 7, and Erasmo's Dream, who you've got right on top.
Yeah, no, I went back when I saw that you had the, the 2-horse Kickin' Boy as a video we're going to show. That horse ran exceptionally well. I got him 4th. Maybe I should have moved him up a bit.
And Darwish has got that big speed. You get Zerpa, you get a Misael, and you get a horse who projects as the come and catch me type running gun speed in race number 8 as my single. Ronnie's 2-3-4 in his Rainbow to cap things. I'm just 3-4 between Lady and Me off a 64-day layoff. I'll tell you, though, this may never, ever, ever Scottish Sky may never find an easier race than the field she's in against.
Yeah, and that horse I have on my ticket, the 2-horse, 15-1 in the morning line. It's just a speed play. I couldn't find any other kind of speed in there. If that horse gets loose, maybe steals it. So that's why I threw the 2 in on my ticket.
All right, so that's your price play in the nightcap, potential speed. But like me, Ronnie had a tough time getting cute with some of those bigger priced horses on paper in race number 9. So race number 5 does begin this late pick 5. Again, we've got the horses bred here in the Sunshine State, ready to go 7.5 furlongs. There's a lot going on in this race, but first and foremost, I do think, and you touched upon it, Ronnie, with the amount of early speed in here, the starting point is likely the 8-2 Stormy.
Yeah, he does his best running from that stalking position. He's going to sit the trip behind the speed today. And Ronnie Spatz, Edgar Zayas, really consistent son of Get Stormy. So I just thought of that. But what did I do? I tried and beat it with the 1 horse in here, Rumbago, who moved to the Tammy Levy barn after the claim, steps up to competition, duel from start to finish, actually crossed the wire first, was disqualified and placed second, drifted in the stretch a little bit. He's a son of Sold That. Just going with the new connections. Want to show you a stat on Tammy Levy here. First after the claim, all levels on the turf. She's 4 for 14, 29%. She's in the money 43% of the time, $2.08. Now, I know this horse might just get hooked up in the duel with Hot and Heavy and set it up for 2 Stormy. But I figured I'd take a little bit of a shot with a long shot. But I added the other horses to my ticket.
Yeah, you've got Hot and Heavy, who was really dropped in earnest and quickly by trainer Danny Gargan. I'm curious to see how that horse, who's got some ability on the turf, will run off the claim, and a horse who has not started since the middle of July after the Gargan operation. Looked to lose this horse, I think, in hindsight for 10K. Rodolfo Garcia, the trainer there. And Rumbago does have, I'll tell you, Roberto Alvarado Jr. won 2 races yesterday.
Yeah, he's been riding great, and he's one of those guys I know you always say he's under the radar type of rider. And just like what Tammy Levy does first off the claim, does this horse need the lead? I'm not quite sure. I think they could rate.
All right, maybe that inside post gives them some options to maybe sit the pocket and get covered up inside. Here's race number 6 on the September 21st program. Things are pretty tight in the leading trainer category. Victor Barboza Jr. holds a single victory lead over Armando de la Cerda with Zerpa up there, David Fox and Ralph Nix. Now, Victor can pad to that lead this afternoon in a big way in race 6. I think you've got to like where he stands going into this dated 6250 claimer, especially with the number 2 Grand Nene off a 200-day layoff.
And as I mentioned, this was the other horse that I was thinking into singling and not singling, Darwish. I was undecided between them. And Grand Nene moved to the Victor Barboza Jr. bond, faces these non-winners, as you mentioned, of a race in 6 months. First starts in Racing Wide, finished in a dead heat for 5th, but that was open claimers back on March 3rd. Certainly, as you mentioned, this is just a condition to pick for me. I just think this horse is going to move forward. Got Wild, Good, and well, we got the same try up there.
Yeah, ice cold tried again. I think Victor is holding a couple of aces, to say the least. Question becomes who you may want to fill out the exotics, and for us, the 7 Shackelford Storm, who, as Ronnie was saying, in action just 5 days ago, going a very demanding mile and a 16th around 2 turns.
And 9 to 5 on the morning line, so I just thought that Grand Nene was just another way, to get a little bit more value. I just don't like that 5-day. I've never
what
had.
What price is Grand Nene on
Grand
the
Nene is 3 to 1.
Oh, 3 to 1. All right.
Yeah,
So
I'm just not comfortable with that 5-day thing. I never make any money with that.
no, it's tough to do, and this horse taking a big turn back in distance as well, dropping in off a poor performance less than a week ago. If Grand Nene runs back to one of his better races, and some people might go, hey, he hasn't run in 200 days. There's not a big chance of that happening, but I still think, like Ronnie, he's going to be very tough to beat. Here's race number 7. This is the race of the day. Friday's feature in Mr. JB's eyes here. I know Ronnie likes this one as well as we go the mile and a furlong, and the distance may come into play here. This is one of the longer turf races we run. We run a lot of races at 7.5, 5, of course, a mile, and you'll see a mile and a 16th. Not that many races going 9 furlongs, and I'm wondering, first and foremost, how Kickin' Boy is going to run here, second off the claim for Chuck Simon. This is a horse who got a great ride from Sammy Camacho here. We'll backtrack to July 28th. I remember sitting in the boxes at Saratoga, watching this race on the simulcast TV at the spa, and Sammy just did everything right, pulling this inside running trip and angled out, and this horse will just really in the pink there down inside finish up very gamely in this race behind Archer Road, who is hands down one of the most improved horses, I think, on the turf in all of South Florida. He's between rivals there, and he'll never want to quit staying on very stubbornly inside. Was it the barn change? Was it the distance? Was it a combination of both? Maybe he's just in the best form of his life
Yeah,
now.
and as I mentioned, when I saw that you were going to show this video today, I actually went back and looked at it and said, boy, this horse should have been further up on my ticket than in 4th. I thought he ran well. I just didn't know coming from the 12 furlongs, going back to 9 furlongs. And the reason I went with the number 9, Erasmo's Dream, 3rd on the grass at this 9 furlong distance back in April, goes back to the turf after returning from the layoff, failed to handle that sloppy track that day. That was in the $72,000 David Stakes, which was moved to the sloppy main track. So I just thought Erasmo's Dream was the logical one in there. I'm going to give a real strong look back to Kickin's Boy, but I think we got the logical one with the 8 Erasmo's Dream. I want to show you stat on Mr. Armando de la Cerda. Horse is going from dirt to turf, all levels on the routes. Not his greatest angle. He's only 7 for 51, 14%. 33% the money with a $1.77 return of investment. Still, I thought he was the one to beat there, but went deeper on my ticket.
And in the case of the veteran 5-year-old, Who's Your Drama, who in my mind feels a lot older than 5. Not in a bad way. He's just been around, it seems, for a long time. He's with Peter Walder. He's not flashy, but I just like that one-pace sort of grinding style that he likes. That gives me some hope that he'll be able to stay the 9 furlongs.
Yeah, that was my concern, but Tyler Gaffalione certainly adds to the appeal here with the 7 Who's Your Drama. Wasn't sold on the distance. Also went with the 6 in here, who I used on my ticket, Unbridled Holiday, a gelded son of Harlan's Holiday. Stretching out, he responded to the surface switch. He was running late, second against 35 optional claimers, going a mile and a 16th. I think he classes up perfectly in the spot. I like him on the ticket for the try or super.
All right, sounds good. That one going out for Patrick Biancone. As we move on to race number 8, we are on the main track for the final time this Friday afternoon. Late double begins in earnest with this $30,000 to $25,000 3-and-up claiming race, and you already know who Ronnie and I like because we both have singles in this race, the same horse in the number 3 Darwish, and we'll start with him just because of the form he's in, right?
Yeah, he's wheeling back after his 2-race win streak ended. He was beaten ahead by that repeat winner Field Trip going 6 furlongs. That was on the sealed sloppy track. What I like, what sold me on him, was that bullet work across town at Gulfstream Park West. So I just think Darwish is going to control the pace this afternoon. It'll be right there near the lead. Use Transitive in 1 and Bina in 2nd, who are logical contenders in the race.
And they are very much a logical pair, as Ronnie just mentioned. Dropping out of the same race here on Labor Day weekend, we had a wet one here at Gulfstream Park on September the 2nd, and both these horses ran very well and for the most part had comparable trips. We'll bring you the race, and we'll begin with Transitive, who's in the yellow gold silks of Goldmark Farm, down closest to the rail. He's not that close to the rail as he drifts out. And in the case of Juan and Bina, he was up, prompting the pace, launched that 4-wide move, and just gets a little tired here as he tries to catch Transitive. He'll weaken just a little bit, not badly though, considering, Ronnie, he had been off for 500 days before this race.
Yeah, that 17-month layoff. You know, and you're talking about they weren't drifting out. They were getting away from that inside. That was a pretty wet part of the track that day. And Juan and Bina comes back off that performance and handles the main track. Could be very dangerous in there. I got to watch one on the fast track.
All right, 1 for 28 as he comes in with Miguel Vasquez, who only had one mount on yesterday's card. That horse scratched out, so Miguel very much fresh and ready to roll, riding a whole bevy of contenders on this Friday afternoon. One more race to get to, and we wrap up the day at 7.5 furlongs with a 2 lifetime, 3 and up filly and mare claiming race. We've got 10 ready to rumble. And between, I know you got a bit of a little stab here who you could talk about, but man, I looked at this race for a while thinking there would be maybe a hidden horse or somebody you could really get a little sneaky or cute with. Outside of Lady and Me, whose last race was good, and Scottish Sky, who's never going to find an easier spot to win, I didn't know where else to go.
Well, Scottish Sky is going to cut back to 7.5 after returning from that couple-of-month layoff to finish that rallying 5th behind similar quality. Daughter of Sky Mason, but the pace scenario in here is suspect at best. So this one might sit the trip right behind the speed. Lady Me stepping up. You're right, used her tactical speed to win, though, to defeat this 12-5 maiden. So, and I guess it's called Kweini, I want to say, the number 2 we'll say. That's better. We'll wait till Pete calls that one. Just speed play for me.
Just a speed play. You got a little J.J. Gonzalez, double J from that near inside post. All right, 6-year-old mare. As we say goodbye, Ronnie and I with you all day long downstairs from our paddock set, and we'll bring on track announcer Pete Aiello's got much more, including those Friday scratches and changes.